Well, good evening. Welcome back to 3 News. Keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Beta east in the Gulf of Mexico at about 20 miles offshore. You can see a live look at North Beach. A little bit of the water is starting to retreat. Low tide was earlier today, about 12:30 around the lunch hour, and then high tide later on tonight around 9:30 this evening, and that may lead to some more minor coastal flooding later on this evening in the coastal bend. Tonight's forecast: temperatures lower 70s, mostly cloudy, scattered showers. In addition to northwest winds 15 to 25, sunset just before 7:30. Now, more importantly, we want to talk about Tropical Storm Beta. You can see how close it is to Matagorda Bay on this Monday night, zeroing in on exactly where it's at. As I mentioned, about offshore east, about 20 miles or so, and winds are at 45 miles an hour with wind gusts up to 60. So this tropical storm has weakened substantially over the last 24 hours, and you'll notice just a lot of moisture stringing onshore towards Houston, Louisiana, and we are on the drier side of things. Yeah, we're still seeing some scattered showers and a few isolated storms, but as the system moves east and away from us through tomorrow, through Thursday, it looks like rain chances do trend down through Wednesday and Thursday as well. Now, in the meantime, tropical storm warnings in effect from Port Aransas northeast into Houston and western Louisiana, meaning that pretty much from Rockport to Victoria to Matagorda Bay and San Antonio Bay, they're expecting tropical storm force winds upwards of 40 to 50 miles an hour. Here's the forecast cone making landfall sometime tonight. Depending on how slow it moves as it approaches the Texas coast. Again, it's offshore 20 miles or so. And as a tropical storm, and it makes a hard right turn towards Houston, and it looks like it may reemerge in the Gulf of Mexico through Wednesday and Thursday, but maintaining tropical depression strength as it pushes into East Texas and western Louisiana. In the meantime, still some rain out there, more so on that eastern side of the spinning area of low pressure. You can see through Galveston, Houston, Victoria, all getting soaked with some good heavy downpours. And a closer look at Pulaski, Bay City, Highway 59 and Highway 87, some scattered to moderate rain that is coming in on the northern side of Tropical Storm Beta. A closer look at our area. Yeah, our reporters like Bill and Mariah didn't see much in the way of rain because, yeah, we're under a dry spell, dry patch here in our viewing area between Rockport, Sinton, but Mathis seeing some light rain in addition to Alice and our western counties. Now, along the coastline, still a coastal flood warning in effect through Tuesday. And this particular warning expiring at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, but we'll have to watch it very closely because depending on conditions and the timing of high tide late tonight, that may extend through tomorrow afternoon. So tonight's high tide at Ballpark Pier 8:53, Port Aransas 9:22. And keep in mind, that's kind of the similar time frame that Beta expected to make landfall somewhere near San Antonio Bay and at Matagorda Bay. So you combine the landfall of a storm also with the high tide, that's going to mean more coastal flooding, inundating, advancing onshore on the island, Corpus Christi Bay and near Copano Bay, and of course out to our northeast. So elevated conditions will continue through tonight, through tomorrow, 1 to 4 feet of storm surge, higher risk of rip currents and gusty winds from today through tomorrow as well. So take a look at this weather model. You can see making landfall sometime late tonight near San Antonio and Matagorda Bay, and you'll notice just a lot of heavy rain on that northern side near Victoria. Yeah, we'll see some scattered showers on this western fringe, but as the storm ejects and kind of moves out east and retreats closer to Houston, that's really going to decrease our rain chances, and it looks like going to clear out the cloud cover by Wednesday and Thursday. But not before dropping some rain. Here's the rainfall forecast on top of what we've seen already, which has been about an inch of rainfall here in the city through about tomorrow and Thursday. About a half an inch to an inch of rainfall, 1 to 2 out to our north and west, and close yard to the storm center, 2 to 4. Scattered showers in the forecast for tonight, tomorrow. Rain chances subside by Thursday and Friday. 7-day forecast shows sunshine on the way for Thursday. We'll watch an upper level disturbance coming from the west, which may trigger some isolated showers Friday and this weekend. Temperatures back into the lower 90s by Friday. Leslie.